What is going on, guys? My name is UnlimitedCop, and in this video we're going to be going over my $25,000 sneaker bot setup. Now before we get too far into it, guys, if you don't know who I am, my name is Hunter or UnlimitedCop. I make videos going over botting sneakers, reselling sneakers, and my journeys throughout all of that. If you guys have not checked out some other videos, I would definitely suggest doing so. Without any further ado, let's just hop right into it. So I'm now 19 years old and sneaker botting is my full-time income. I was blessed enough to buy my dream car earlier this year and been able to travel pretty much as I would like just off reselling sneakers. Honestly, it's been a complete blessing. So in this video, I want to break down kind of how I got started, what bots I use, and how you guys can get started also. And as always, guys, if you do enjoy this video or help you guys out in any way, please be sure to leave a like down below and hit the subscribe button for more content. Also, if you guys don't want to hear how I got started or you want to skip around in the video for any reason, you can use the timestamps in the description below. So I first got into sneakers when I was about 16 years old. I don't really have an exact place where I got started. I just kind of started reselling. I can't really remember exactly why. Something along the lines that I saw a line at Foot Locker, I was wondering why there were people standing outside my Foot Locker at my mall. So I researched it and realized these shoes would go for $100, $200 retail, and you could flip them for $500, $600, $700 sometimes resale price. So after that, I pretty much just dove straight into it. I obviously started off going manual, trying to do the multiple people jig on Adidas back in the day, having multiple phones on sneakers, all that good stuff. I had a little bit of success. I mean, it is pretty slow when you guys first get started, just because you're not gonna have access to a $25,000 sneaker bot setup. So you're gonna have to take it kind of easy, go kind of slow, and get pairs when you guys can. But from there, I just started learning, slowly got into botting, seeing what bots worked, what bots didn't. Back in the day, guys, it was honestly a lot easier to bot sneakers because it wasn't as competitive as it is today. But I slowly started to get better at botting, getting 5, 10 pairs every single release. Then that eventually evolved into what it is today. If you guys want to see a whole video about kind of my life story and how I got started, definitely be sure to let me know. But for the sake of this video, I'm not going to go into very much detail. Nowadays, I run about 5 to 6 bots depending on the release that are valued at around $25,000, which allows me to get most of the shoes that I want. Obviously, it kind of depends the right place, the right time, and there's still a lot of different variables to go into botting. So don't think when you just get into it that you can buy a bot and hit every single shoe you want, because I have a huge setup with a bunch of different bots and I still don't hit pairs that I want. But going a little bit further into it, I want to kind of go over every single site that I run, what my setup for all those sites are, what servers, what proxies I use, even down to my delays and how I kind of run the site. So starting us out, I want to talk about Nike sneakers. Back in the day, Nike sneakers used to be an absolute awesome place to bot. I mean, whenever Ghost sneakers was out, it was the best bot you could use on Nike sneakers, at least in my opinion. I had a lot of success with it, and unfortunately Nike kind of picked up on that and kind of put them out of business essentially. But nowadays I'm running the ShipBot, or TSB is what I'm going to refer to it as. I have about 750 Nike accounts, all different cards, different names, different emos, obviously 100% jigged. For my credit cards on Nike, I use Stripe cards. I think they're 50 cents a pop, but they're really easy to use. I've had good success with them. Definitely recommend, if you guys can get Stripe cards for botting Nike sneakers, highly recommend it, like I said. As far as jigging my profiles, I just do 3 letters in front of my address. So let's say my address is 123 Street. I'll do ABC 123 Street, and Nike does not pick up on that. As far as proxies go on Nike sneakers, I only use high quality ISPs. Right now I have a private pool because I own Noble proxies, we have some that aren't out yet. So I use those, which most people don't have access to something like that. So my suggestion probably is try to get as many ISPs as you can. I hate to say use residentials, but if you have really, really high quality residentials, you can. But definitely try to use ISPs, and I personally run 1-to-1, but if you guys don't have that, 1 proxy for 2 tasks should be fine. So that's pretty much it for my Nike sneaker setup, kind of an overview. I use the ShipBot. I jig my profiles with 3 random letters in front of it, and then I use Stripe credit cards. I use high quality ISP proxies, and then that's pretty much it. I run it on my local computer because it can pretty much handle everything I need it to handle. The only bad thing about Nike sneakers is that TSB kind of changes, well, not TSB, I guess Nike changes stuff and TSB has to adapt to it. So sometimes it's not as consistent, but for the most part, I had a decent amount of pairs and stuff on Nike sneakers. And then as far as going manual on Nike sneakers, I have 2 phones that I use. I have kind of seen more activity on the phones, the more success. I have a friend that just sits on the app and watches the stories or whatnot, or looks at different shoes, and they've had more success than I've had. So that's not really a proven theory, but I mean, if you can sit on the app for a little bit, look at the little stories or whatnot, you might have more success on your phone. Now the next site I run are Footsites. That's going to be your Foot Locker, Foot Action, Champs, and Eastbay. Honestly, guys, Footsites right now are completely right now, I don't really have any working ISP proxies, unfortunately, because they got banned. That's a long story, but I have new ISPs coming in that I'll be using. As far as bots go, I use Wrath, Valor. Those are really my main two that I use on Footsites. I have Kodai, don't run it too much anymore, but definitely does well in it. But really, Wrath and Valor and occasionally Kodai are my top 3 Footsite bots. A couple months ago, I was doing super well because I had really high quality ISP proxies I could use. Now I'm only using residentials, which they definitely do work, just not as well as ISPs. I'm using Noble Residential plan, obviously. So I mean, it works. I get pairs, just not as many as I would if I had high quality ISPs. As far as jigging goes on Footsites, I don't jig at all, and I only use privacy virtual credit cards. Actually, I use privacy, and I recently started using Capital One Enos, which aren't too bad at all. Really, those are the main 2 credit cards that work best for me. Obviously, having hard cards works also. I don't do any jigging at all. I use the same name pretty much. I have like 4 different names I'll use, but no like variations of the street or the names. That's really the only thing I change is the email. I have a catch-all email that I use, but I don't do any weird jigging because my experience in the past, if I do some weird type of jigging, that's what gets the order canceled. So I just use 4 different names, different emails, and the same address and different credit cards, obviously. I only do 1 profile per order, so that definitely helps with the cancellations and whatnot. As far as my delay goes for Footsites, right now with residentials, I use about 4,500 or so. If I have high quality ISPs, I'll use around 3,000 delays, but reses get hit so hard nowadays that it's hard to really use them. But when I run them, I do use 4,500 delays. Generally, if I'm running multiple bots for Footsites, I like to use servers. Right now, I'm using Hydra, I believe, servers. I have 1 Hydra server. I usually run Wrath on my local, Valor on my Hydra, and then if I'm running Kodai, I have an extra computer that I'll run it on. That's pretty much it for my Footsites setup. I haven't had too much success in the past couple weeks with Footsites just because they've been so competitive and there's so many different bots coming out. But in the past months, let's say like the beginning of this year, I was running Cloak, Wrath, Valor, and Kodai. Actually, I wasn't running Valor at that point. I was running Kodai instead. But those top 3 bots were doing really, really well for me. And then unfortunately, they started changing stuff. More bots came out, bypasses and whatnot, and it got a lot harder. Moving on to JD and Finish Line. Personally, I don't really run JD and Finish Line anymore just because it's all just like cancels and holds. Like you'll check out the shoe, then in 48 hours or whatever, they'll drop all the charges so you didn't get any of the shoes. Really unfortunate. I've tried jigging my address, jigging everything, and it just doesn't really help at all. So I've pretty much stayed away from those. But I can hit very, very well with Kodai on Finish Line. If Finish Line actually shipped the pairs, I would be hitting like huge clips with it. But unfortunately, most of the pairs get canceled, so it's not really worth me running. But I would definitely suggest Kodai if you're trying to run FNL and JD. As far as proxies go, I usually use ISPs. Some ISPs are banned on FNL and JD, so I'll use residentials in that case, but the ones I have right now work very well on FNL and JD, which they'll soon be available. I'll probably go over this in another video, but Noble Proxies has ISPs on the way. We had some, people got them banned, but we have more coming. Moving on to Shopify, I pretty much only run Wrath on Shopify now. I used to run Cyber and Prism, but right now I just have Wrath. I've had a lot of success with Wrath on Shopify. I've hit Kith multiple times. It's been really, really well. That's probably my best Shopify bot for sure. I usually run my ISPs because they're not banned on Shopify, which is really nice. And depending on the site, if it has bot protection, let's say for instance, I'm running Kith, I'll start my task about 6 to 8 minutes before the release. I'll have my delays at around 15,000, and then maybe 3 or 4 minutes before, I'll drop them down to like 8,000 or so, and about a minute before, I'll make it 22,000. Then about a minute before, I'll drop them down to like 22222, or if I want to have kind of higher delays, I'll make it like 3,000 or whatnot. As far as profiles go for Shopify, I only use hard cards. I rarely jig my Shopify profiles. I mean, if I'm running Kith, I usually am only going to hit like 1 pair, so I only run 1 profile. But if you're running like a different site, I might suggest like changing the name, the email, obviously, maybe jigging the address just a little bit, not too much. Maybe like if your address is like 123 street, maybe like 123 st dot 123 actual street, you know, stuff like that. Nothing major. And I personally suggest running Shopify on local just because it's a lot easier solving the captchas and whatnot. And if you don't have proxies that work on Shopify, you can run like 3 to 4 tasks on your local and be fine. As far as solving captchas go, if the site requires 1-clicks, obviously make sure you have 1-click Gmails. If you guys are solving H captchas, I would suggest having like a little notepad up, potential answers. So like usually on Kith, it's gonna be like, what day is it or what's the date? So I'd have a notepad next to my captcha solvers ready to copy and paste whatever the answer would be. So that's pretty much my Shopify setup. I run Wrath, I run my Noble ISPs, I have 1-click Gmails. I usually have 2 captcha solvers open if I'm running like 1 or 2 tasks on Kith. I usually have more than enough solvers just in case something happens for some reason. But I don't suggest running too many Shopify tasks because you're gonna have to solve all those captchas. It's gonna be a mess if you have too many open and too many tasks. Moving on to Yeezy Supply, YS has been pretty fun right now in terms of botting it. I'm using Wrath, Dashi, Splash Force, maybe occasionally Toru, but really Wrath and Dashi are the ones that do it for me. I've been able to hit like 30 pairs of whatever the last 350s were with Wrath. Dashi's been really great. I've been able to cop quite a few slides and foam runners also. So it's been a really fun experience. Obviously I have like 2,000 ISPs that work great on Yeezy Supply. So it gives me a big advantage for sure. But running residential proxies, I haven't had too many issues. Obviously running Noble proxies, residentials. So that's been a pretty good time. In terms of my profiles, right now, I run privacy and stripe cards. Both have been great for me. I haven't had any issues with those. In terms of jigging goes, the only thing I change are the names, the phone numbers, and the emails, and obviously the credit cards and stuff. But I don't do any jigging for like the street or whatnot. I usually use like 4,500 to 5,000 delay, which most spots you don't even have to touch it. Then I start my task exactly at 9 or so if I'm not running residential proxies. That pretty much wraps it up for my Yeezy Supply setup. Not really too complicated. I will run every single bot on a different server. For the most part, I run like AWS servers. If I'm only running like Wrath and Dashi, I'll put Dashi on my Hydra server and then run Wrath on my local. Not really too complicated. It's honestly been a lot of fun, like I said. Also really important for Yeezy Supply, I have like 18.9 Gmails that I just farm constantly, so whenever there's a YS drop, I plug those in and I pass Splash pretty easily. And last but not least, we have Supreme. Unfortunately, guys, I haven't really been running Supreme this year just because it's been so bad. I mean, Supreme's kind of dying in my opinion. I used to rent out Velux and Mech Preem most of the time for like BOGO drops, but at this point, I pretty much just go manually. Like there was a box logo drop today and I just used the Saber autofill and copped manually, so that was really nice. I don't really have a setup for that, but back in the day, like I said, I would rent Velux or Mech Preem. I would run my ISPs, have my one-click captchas, and that would pretty much just be my setup right there. I always use hard cards on Supreme. I know you can probably use Eno cards, but I just pretty much use my credit cards, my debit card on there. Different names, different emails, different phone numbers, all that good stuff. I don't really jig my address, but if I do jig, I'll put like 3 random letters in front of the actual street or whatnot. But other than that, that's pretty much it for my Supreme setup. Like I said, if there's something dropping that I want, I pretty much just go manual and have an autofill, and most of the time I cop it. So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for my complete setup on every site. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment down below. Also, guys, let me know what bot you run, what you've been successful with, and what bot you're looking to try to get next. Also guys, if you're looking to start reselling sneakers or you're trying to step up your game, definitely be sure to check out my sneaker reselling group, Saber.io. I'll have the links down in the description below also. Also be sure to check out my proxy company, Noble Proxies. The proxies I use, the proxies that I cop with, I'll have links to that also down in the description below. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys did enjoy or helped you guys out in any way, please be sure to leave a like down below and hit the subscribe button for more content. Be sure to follow my Twitter, my Instagram, my Snapchat, and now my TikTok if you have not already. I'm making TikToks now. Trying to make one every single day, so definitely be sure to follow me on there. But yeah guys, that's pretty much wraps it up. I'll have links to like all the bots and my complete setups, everything down in the description below. So if you guys want to check all that stuff out, it'll be down there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm UnlimitedCop, and I'm out.